Great book. I'm reading it for the second time, like from the beginning to end. And this time allowing myself to like touch physical further instead of like stopping to write something or add a bookmark or a note or something to so that I can come back to that place with any kind of efficiency. The first go round, which can be like every go round, I don't want to have to do anything. I just want it all to be like, yeah. So curbing the enthusiasm and excitement and like curiosity, like the passion even. Curbing just means like strong curve. I'm trying to, I don't know. And if you know how to drive, you don't have to slow down with those. I don't know. I wanted to be inclusive and not talk about me when I said if you know how to drive, because I don't really mean that. I don't care. I just went there and imagined the passionate curved, and it didn't make it really any more steeper. It made it almost condensed, and the actual like Mario Go-Kart me just with me, obviously, or anything, all those things. It just made it like thicker. So it's almost like I could like downshift, I would say from like 7, hypothetically, or 6, down to like 2, and then 3, and then maybe that again. No. 2, 3, 2. It would be like the manual brake of it, but also you're doing it smooth. And then the 3 to continue to like even again like let it like just like vent, and then throw it into 4 or 5. The next kind of ring of gear ratios where it's almost like you're putting it in gear while going too slow, like your reps aren't high enough, so it's almost like but instead it's the engine, the gears, and their like teeth kissing does slow down, but there's no because everything's still moving like fluidly and fast. So you've just like, I don't know. Hi, I'm Elliot, and you just saw me drive. I geek out, and I'm learning how to do that again. I haven't been outside yet and said hello to the sun, because this is like a part of the year where it's not really eclipsing my balcony for sunrise. I don't remember that last year, but skies change. I've seen it. So that's the fantastical, fictional, my decision, my destiny, time limit that's gonna not make me rant for too long. I can have a good time. There's somewhere else I want to go. And I meant to do this earlier, but I'm learning to be excited again, and like to be a kid for the first time. Hi, Gigi. For truth. Oh, I love how complex, like the icons that make up Gigi for truth, and so a representation of you. Not necessarily. It's not an assumption. That's like a collective gathering. Anyways, hi. I'm sheepish for expressing the vulnerability of my like kiddiness, because there's no generation alive that remembers how to be a kid, because none of us were allowed to be kids, first of all. And then relatively, there's a generation, I want to put me like 6 to 10 years in both directions, before my birth and after, where the spectrum of circumstances were as such that, comparably to what's just come before and what's going to just come after, there was like a childless time where all the kids in like the set of them, all of them, not all kids, but just all these kids, became adults really fast, and then became adults just before they became kids. Like in that transition to whatever's before kids and becoming kids, they actually went through that stage a little earlier than they would have, so they wouldn't even been kids yet, and became adults. And maybe I'm just talking about myself, but I doubt it, because I've heard this truth, in better words, from yous. And I remember feeling this way in a weird, I'm remembering kind of way, because I didn't have to turn it on. I didn't have to. I took it for granted. That like spurious fire in the belly, attacking, go-getting ideas, and not to solve, not to create security, not anything, but because I was alive, and it's just like, I'm brilliant, man. I got ideas. / I'm like, yeah, I'm this guy to myself. Like, I want to be cool, but just to myself. So I do things, but it's the way I feel about the doing of the things that I took for granted that has like almost been lost. Because, I don't know, but I'm thinking, sussing, finding that love, that thirst that knows it's going to drink. And loves the taste but can do without it. Feels like I'm learning to be a child. By first learning what a child is, and finding out what a child is from here. It's from basically being everything that a child isn't. It's hard to stay close to something that you want. While remaining steadfast in like not partaking in like the spilled cup. Because even though people are saying it's full, and that should be the cup, and like, fuck, it tastes good, This is another cup than the other earlier analogy. Maybe it isn't, and I'm just being really deep and intertwined. I'll leave that up for not me. It's like look. It's like the opposite of look and don't touch. Touch, but don't look. And it helps to share with each other in the ways that we create. And I'm going to say, I'm familiar with holding myself back at the edge of consciously, because to succeed or be the best that I can be really puts me up against my limitations. And staying close to something that's not good enough, but you always want and have to believe will be. It's been like a path of the hurt, the denial, the worth, the unworth, the reworth, the birth, the canal, the rebirth, the death valleys. It's hard to learn to hold yourself back then from that place, exposing all of the unloved reasons that we can conclude to that being somehow an intuitive choice, and then arrive at it being like, yeah, actually no, it's because the world that I live in, where we succeed, the we being the me and all that I love, doesn't exist. You know, it's not either connected enough or like legit. It's just in my sphere. It's my sphere small. What? It's like, is the heart small? Or is it like so big? It's like zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Till it's like the expanse of the universe, and this is the biggest thing in the whole universe. Everything else looks porcelain or bony. What up? Try and try and try, and if you don't at first succeed, then you know you're getting trying right, and you can know that you're going to get it, because it's not that the first time you do something you're going to get it or not get it. That's not the marker. But if you're marking that you tried and you didn't succeed, then you have the wherewithal to say try first, don't succeed, and even hear that and recognize something in you in it, then that's the you that is tuned and resonating with the truth that really wants to be screamed. It's learning to be quieter, but it's had to scream for so long that its hoarseness It went from like injury to a legit sound to like, wow, raspy. I don't know, building imagination with you. Learning to talk in this avenue is cool, because what I'm just like learning now is sometimes to pause. It's my listening to how you would put it, like anyway, it's you, but the kind of new experience insight is how it becomes you that we round off what we were saying. So some of the times maybe when I'm like, I was not here except I was really here, is really just me being like, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, do I have my glasses on? I'm gonna put my glasses on so I don't have to like headbutt you. You want to know something funny? I'm wearing one contact right now and one not. And try extra hard to make that happen, but it's the truth. Experimenting. I'm going to hear your voice by my saying, engaging with you with what worthy feels like. And for the non-screen lookers, because I can resonate, anybody is asking, Gigi for truth, what's instilled in us that we are not worthy? Great choice of words. Instilled, like alchemical. And then once we agree on meaning the same thing with worthy, which we've just done, holla holla, I'd ask questions about what feels ancient if we use instilled intuitively. And then talking with you about it, I want to accept the reasonability, even the seed of good or love, because I prefer that those can be anywhere. Even in Pandora's box. Having the worthy and unworthy paradox instilled was not quite on purpose, but it's not for a bad reason. And I'm like loath to say this, but it deals with like really the side that's having the hardest time surrendering with like, it's okay, we can just have good times now. Remember what that was like? So like how do you know the borders, the boundaries of cruelty and never choices and refuse? And so by virtue, their laminate peaks in all the shapes, creating a broad of depth, contextual environment to put love in, to put good in, and make it this like beaming heart that looks small because you're so big and it's so big too. And loath because it's like, fuck. It's one of those kinds of choices where it's like, I made a yes choice, and these are all like the branch choices in between. Things could have been different, but they couldn't because that's how they happen. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone, which is probably why all of us are feeling it because feeling worthy and unworthy, an aspect of, I would say, the expressed, like shared experience of that with like those of us that in friendliness communicate our emotions as best we can. That doing things because it's the right thing to do, whether it's the wrong thing to do or right thing to do, is part of the narrative. And speaking for myself, always. But anyways, you know what I mean? And that I take it to like, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And so part of my wish is in the manifestation of the best, good, most awesome love, adventure, like harmonious on like all the scales of anything and nothing, bar nothing, and except for nothing, everything. Whatever I am has at least learned that I can be as stubborn as I fucking want. So far, for better and worse. Woohoo! And wish that a best is possible. And mine's is everyone's too. So in this, I'm not the arbiter or judgment maker. It's too participatory. Like, I mean, this is how I refer to myself within myself for a distinction. Because I'm gonna say, I'll take all the pain. I'll do it more if it means less. And then learning to guard it, hedge it, and then moat, bridge, span it with more and more opportunities for others to make their own choices around suffering. This has been a hard thing for our times. Hearing their desire for help, but where that exists in their like planes of recognition, it's not in their best intention, best soul's intention in that present moment for you to want or to do anything. I'm complicating a simple, like, everybody's just gotta ask for what they want. It's the only voting. And while I can ask for what I don't want, I'm a big fan of being more powerful than, you can't frame things in the negative. It's a hell of a skill to get really good at focusing on what you do want. And even what you don't want can be framed as a do want, hence the danger in it. And now, finally, not for no reason, for our reason, for the reason of us, beyond common intelligibility, but not understanding, and like mass intuitive perception. That the pathways and of our best intentions through like the miasma of not, like the billowy, wispy, but like ubiquitously, multitudinously fucking annoying, frustrating copies of the few that would damage the most for their own soul's adventure. Not you, not me, you know. It's gotta be a not. Sometimes, anyways. Like we've tested the waters. We can actually do anything now. We can actually win in all the ways that we've dreamt, and within like the highest reason and the lowest like stubborn love, you know, like whatever, no reason, just what I want, yeah. We can have it now. And it's as remarkable and ordinary as close to as we can imagine. I'm a big fan of remaining open to being spellboundedly blindsided. I love the time that we spent together. So I'm going to be grateful for the longer video cast, and I knew but exactly what I intentioned or could hope to be gifted. And there's another thing with the title that I could do want to give myself and you through its expression. It's a little different enough. It has to do with the fear of creating the good, best feelings. And it's this, you know how like shitty feelings are uncomfortable? Really good feelings are uncomfortable too. Have you ever had awkward sex? Ha ha ha, I know, exactly. We get over it, slash, it's part of the thrill. Because you can find the awkward in anything. What up? But like feeling like really, really good. Like you push all to your edges. Feels amazing. But like, if you knew that you were going to sign up for it and then be hit with it in like a moment, you'd probably be like, or tone it down a notch. You'd be like, yeah, I'll probably just turn it down a couple dials. Like, just like really intense. Heart beating, skin like crawling, dancing, slithering, flying, softening, sinking, like hot but cold and feverish, but in the wild starlight bursting nova kind of way. You know, the never end, the always here, the over, you know, like to feel really, really good. Even when we get past the frightening, what has been of like, is it going to last? Because I had to learn that things don't last. That's not intuitive to me. So I can't also let go of that truth. This feels true, just life. And expressing love to everything. It was like last night or the night before, I actually met a neighbor who was standing randomly in the parking lot that I walk through on my walks with my dog. I was walking by myself, so it was even more random. He asked me for a cigarette, and words are common, but that so spontaneously and easily and accessibly turned into us hanging out for a few hours and just being generous with each other. And I mean, he's like, this is so fucking cool, you know? He's like perfectly younger than me, so that we're like the same age, and like both getting back to being kids. Because the world can be our playground. The cosmos can be the playground. Make the scale. And by the playground, I just mean how we remember at best. Maybe we saw other kids and like, man, I don't want to be there. But then I'm talking about the ways that we can't forget because we didn't do it on purpose. Just meaning running up to other things as people and being like, yo, want to play? Honey, what was that child's name that you were hanging out with? You're like, I don't know. But they were like the white like snow ranger, and then I was like the blue purple ranger, and then we jumped on the triceratops. Then the triceratops we blocked the black one, and like you know, tell you all that. And physiologically, something there. I'm noticing the weirdness in being able to say those words. Anyways, is intense and a real thing, and we've been conditioned / masked to repress all those feelings, and then taught that that's all shadow work, and then that's all bad, and or showing a lack of anything, and and we've regressed towards what like is divinely impressed, and that is jumping off a fucking cliff. Like going cliff diving, probably on only a couple of occasions in my life, but probably properly. And like mountain climb, I don't know. Like I don't do lots of stuff a lot. I just do a lot of stuff to try. That's frightening. If you're not frightening, you're not paying. If you're not frightened, you're not paying attention. And I'm just learning in this moment, sharing with you this story. And then I want to read you. Is I was like 23 or 24, backpacking Europe, end of my travels, broker than broke, all chips cashed in, friend, truly a friend, American chap, sponsored, scholarshiped me to join him on this like little, it was off of Eos in Greece, cliff diving. Everyone else seems so much older than me, like in that cool range of like the 20s, not in the like whatever range I was in. Like Australian and English and fucking cool, and everybody's super hot, and they're doing like twirls and like fizz wigs and dolly gags and shit, jumping off like the cliffs. And the cliff, this first one, there's two, and it was like nice, sunny. I'm like, all right. I know if I dive, I was like dealing with a shoulder, I could like dislocate my shoulder. That the only thing is I'm thinking concern in my inexperience. And there was, it's like when the instructor's like, just watch out for that spot, don't land there. It's like, how close is that fucking spot? And they're flipping, doing all these things. I'm just jumping in. And feeling self-conscious, of course, because I'm not like flying squirrel twirling. But I wish I was, and I want to be. Anyways, we spent most of the time there. We went to one more cliff. This cliff was probably about at least half again as high. Maybe like half again and then half of that again. So like maybe if one is the cliff, then 1 point, like 8 feels high, between 3 and 8. Anyways, uh, I was the only one that wanted to do it. And so my friend joined me too, because he's a friend. I don't want to change how I said that at all. I was the only one that wanted to do it. How that sounds in here at that time, and even if I did it now, we're like, oh fuck, 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 fuck. Yeah, okay. Fuck, 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 fuck. There's no like, no, I don't want to do it. It's like, this. It's just fuck, 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 you know. Yeah, I want to do it. It's like, oh, yeah. And none of these other guys that I had like esteemed so highly were like wanted to do it. And it had nothing to do with my choice at the time. They were like afraid. So was I. But they weren't afraid at the first dive site. And how I want to bring that back is I'm looking at these guys, humans, others, outside of me, doing all this cool, crazy shit that I want to do and I want to feel. And later, when I'm continuing, noticing their shift, and now with all of my experience looking back and kind of continuing, forever continuously disseminating, if there's more love to be found. That they weren't feeling the uncomfortable goodness when they were doing all that cool shit. When I was envying them, they weren't feeling what I envy. They were looking the way that I want to look. But when it came to an offering that was more selectively true, to just what I'm likening to the good that's fucking terrifying. Learning to see and feel, and especially for empath coding, projecting the best possible feelings and intentions onto other people and then back onto us as other people. It's been so painful. And it's like been a harsh learning for the chasm that is the gap. We're like, I thought this was love. Admitting that fucking to yourself. And really coming face to face with all the not that you told yourself you were. So when you look back at you worrying, you were like, huh, that didn't mean what I felt it meant. You know, coming from someone else. Like then I'm like the meaning behind something was not accurate. And you want to accurately mesh meanings with others. That's what love is, I think. And anytime you have to mesh meanings, wrangle meanings, is scary. And it's just hard sliding it into the category of scary that you never want to go away, as opposed to like fear, which I'm delineating as like bullshit. It's hard. So if it feels really uncomfortable and you're like, oh, I don't want to feel it, and you're like just like looking everywhere for a distraction, it's like I'm gonna do this. It's like this is good for my life. It's good for my love. It's good for fucking everything. Distraction. Embrace the distraction, because it stops being distracting when you know it's a part of the process. And it's hard. It's so hard for me that it holds me back for sure in ways that there's space for me to make some more letting go. Cool. I love sharing with you. And part of my doing that a little bit slow with myself, for myself, as myself, is that I feel like my bonk, like snow or sand, is pretty weighted on the shock and awe jumping off cliff experiences. So being distracted by your own loving choice stops being a distraction and starts being something else. Because sometimes we incorporate other aspects of our being, shift our focus. We take it off, be easy a little bit, just for the gentle. We've got all the time. And one of the things that keeps me going when I'm scared forever, or fucking, yeah, when I'm scared of when it's going to be, is any amount of time when held up next to forever is the smallest amount of time. And because I'm sick and twisted like that, to myself, I know there's the devil in me. That's like a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer. Like you can hold it just a little bit longer. You know, it's like it's still on my side. It's just like make the suck a little bit longer. Yeah. Pain, suffering, bullshit. Just a little bit longer. Yeah. But only as far as it's a game. We're already up back on all the same team. It hasn't always been that way, but all of the me's, the worst and the goodest, the worst and the baddest, all agree. The time is now, just as long as we're all smiling and working together. Because the way to unfold destiny is to try and beat it, meet it, change it, let it go, let it be. It's not like these auto cars, auto everything that the controller influence mainstream has been trying to enforce. You ride a horse, You're not going to fall asleep. If you can fall asleep riding a horse, you're a G. Life's a ride. Ride it. Can't do that while reading a magazine. You can maybe do it while writing one. G. I don't know. I'm just talking shit now. I'm going to go outside, have smoke, do some meditations, enjoy the sunlight like I've been enjoying you. Can you read that? Mm-hmm. Oh, I love how that got spelled. Yeah, right? Yeah. Although, you know what? Just the way that you said it and your honesty, I can recognize that that type of, yeah, blame it on me in its feminine aspect, like as embodied by women, I would even go so far as to say, is uh, differently held than in men in that masculine aspect. If on the like fear, bold kind of spectrum of, yeah, blame it on me, and yeah, just blame me, right? Like with that kind of victim martyrhood being obviously the less more awesome one. As a man, it's almost more like, yeah, I did it. What? And like, I can't do it. Or like, yeah, I guess that's, wow, I just fucking paused myself. It's the same blame, different rules, and a lie of a different game. Ooh, thank you for sharing your muse. I'm in becoming more childlike, which is to say just how I want to be. It's been helpful to remember / learn that I'm not making it all up, and that actually there are parts of it that I'm not just familiar, but I've lived entirely. Enough. That there's nothing, doesn't have to be anything new. You've done this, Elliot. You've felt this ambitiously believing, and for the fun of it, more than anything else. You've done it. Even though it's hard to fucking remember. Memory in the feeling. I think that's like also a really like a hard thing for masculine, like in the men. It's just being from more mental spheres. It's like I just don't. I know I've felt so good and so much love. It's been a journey. Remembering to feel what I know. I know love. And there's a kind of subtle bliss experience to the fullness of that knowing. Fuck knowing. I want to feel it in my blood, in my bones. What up? So thank you for you doing you, because you make me feel that way. But you fucking doing it where you are. Holla holla. Exactly. Comprehend this. You know what? That reminds me. Thank you. I love you. You're great. GG. So another kind of like thought that I was like, oh, in a world of uncertainty, i.e., any and all, when everything is uncertain, can anything be certain? One thing. In a world of all uncertainty, and an existing beings of all uncertainty, there can be one certainty. And with awareness, not even that much, but with awareness and faith, you can choose that one thing. And that certainty can be your experience of love. Not that you'll get it, not that you'll give it, nothing ever again, nothing ever will be, but just knowing, at least with certainty, the true experience of what you call love. It's been the only thing that either I maintain with certainty or can find and not have to cling to because it's there when it feels like nothing is there. I don't know anything. But since that is true, at even the lamest, limpest pit of what I would call my experience, I'm giving everything fucking tens. When on the cosmic scale, I'm at 0.2. But whatever, my truth of what I've experienced is love, for better and worse. It all must be worth it. Because all that love could never be again, and it would still be worth it. Cling to the love, and the love clings to you. Cling on, my brothers and sisters. Cling on. I love you. Thank you for joining me, Gigi, and saying hi. It's really cool. Alabama, what? I want to say, there's the Sweet Home Alabama. And then, who does Alabama sing? I don't know. Alabama sings you. I love you. I'm going to go chill, and I'll be around. Looking forward. Finally. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. Peace and love. So fucking much love. So much. Right?